أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما رب يسر ولا تعسر وتم الخير ثم أما بعد الحمد لله. To you all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we will carry on from where we left off last week, which was hadith number 1835. And so today, inshallah, we'll begin with 1836. And inshallah, today's lesson will be somewhat brief because I do have a meeting that I need to catch after this lesson, inshallah. So we say, and we recite, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال بين النفخين 40 قالوا يا أبا هريرة 40 يوما قال أبيت قالوا 40 سنة قال أبيت قالوا 40 شهرا قال أبيت. And then he said ويبلى كل شيء من الإنسان إلا عجب الذنب فيه يركب الخلق ثم ينزل الله من السماء ماء فينبتون كما ينبت البقل. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu warda narrated that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, he is describing to us the last day, Yawm al-Qiyamah. And as you know, there will be two blowings of the trumpet. Two blowings with the فإذا نفخ في الصور نفخة واحدة وحملت الأرض والجبال فدكتا دكة واحدة. At the first blowing of the trumpet, everything will be completely destroyed. When everything is destroyed, Allah will leave a gap of 40 years or 40. That's what this hadith is saying, of 40. What 40 days, 40 years, 40 months, 40 weeks? We don't know. This hadith is not telling us this. And after this 40, Allah will tell Sayyiduna Israfil to blow into the trumpet a second time. And at the blowing of the second trumpet, everything will be resurrected. As in human beings will be human beings, and animals and the jinns will be resurrected with their souls. So this is the hadith, that's what it's saying. And the translation is as follows. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, between the two blowings of the trumpet, there will be an interval of 40. So the people said, oh Abu Hurairah, you are narrating the hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. Do you mean 40 days? He said, I cannot say anything because he wasn't told or he cannot recall. They said, do you mean 40 years? He said, I cannot say anything. They said, do you mean 40 months? He said, I cannot say anything. He says, the Prophet added, everything of the human body will perish except for the coccyx bone, which is the end part of the spinal cord. And from that bone, Allah will reconstruct the whole body. Then Allah will send down water from the sky and people will grow from the seed of the coccyx bone, the last bone on the spinal cord, like green vegetation, or they will grow back again. Just like vegetation grows with water, this rain will cause for them to be reconstructed with their bodies in a similar way to how they were before, based on their actions. So what the information that we're learning from this hadith is, first and foremost, that trumpet will be blown, between it there will be 40, and everything will be destroyed, except for, and we spoke about this last season as well, that there is a particular, you know, your spinal cord, your spine, your central nervous system is with your spinal cord. Right at the bottom of the spinal cord, there is a small triangular bone, is known as the coccyx. And this bone is not possible to destroy. Nothing will destroy it. The blowing of the trumpet will not destroy it. That's by permission of Allah. And when Allah, after 40, of the gap of 40, allows for the rain to fall, and the second trumpet to be blown, and the rain to fall, then this human being will be reconstructed from this coccyx, from this tailbone, from this last bone on the spinal cord. And this is by the permission of Allah. His genetic code, you can understand it scientifically, or some people might try to research it and explore it scientifically. The genetic code may be preserved there, and from there it can be reconstructed. Allahu A'lam, all of the details of how Allah Azza wa Jal will recreate. But the truth and the hadith is saying, as such, 40 gap, rain, blowing of the trumpet, and the rain and the reconstruction of the human beings, and to regrow just like the vegetation and the plantation grows from rain. Next hadith 1837 عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال بينما النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في مجلس يحدث القوم جاء أعرابي فقال متى الساعة فمضى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يحدث فقال بعض القوم سمع من قال فكره ما قال وقال بعضهم بل لم يسمع حتى إذا قضى حديثه قال أين السائل عن الساعة قال ها أنا يا رسول الله قال إذا ضيعت الأمانة فانتظر الساعة قال كيف إضاعتها قال إذا وسد الأمر إلى غير أهله فانتظر الساعة. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu warda narrated that once the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was speaking to us when a Bedouin person, a person who does not live in the city, who lives in the desert, and the Bedouin people are known to be different in their culture, or not the same, or less in their training of adab and akhlaq and so on. That's what is known to be of them. For example, they would come in, and without to the door, without any seeking permission, and etc. Certain things are narrated in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. So in this case, the Prophet ﷺ was speaking to us. So the Prophet is already speaking to a group of people. Okay. So what's the general etiquette? You wait for that conversation to finish, and then you speak and you ask a question. But this Bedouin came and asked him, when will the last day be? Directly interjecting and saying, "Oh Muhammad, oh Prophet of Allah, oh Ya Rasulullah, or however you address him, when will the last day be?" Now even if you see from this question isn't like the question of the Sahaba, is it? Because the Sahaba don't ask questions like that, because they know Allah said in the Quran, and وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ السَّاعَةِ. Allah alone, عِنْدَهُ, is preserving with him the knowledge of the hour. Okay? Okay, and Allah mentions in so many other surahs as well. Okay, يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها فيما أنت من ذكراها إلى ربك منتهاها إنما أنت منذر من يخشاها. So they are asking you about the hour. يسألونك عن الساعة أيان فيما أنت من ذكراها. The Prophet ﷺ does not know. So the Sahaba who are around the Prophet, who are witnessing the revelation of the Wahi, of the Quran and the Hadith Qudsi and the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, they are knowledgeable, and so they will know that this is not how you speak to the Prophet. And secondly, that's not the kind of question you ask the Prophet ﷺ. Because when is the hour? Hadith Jibreel, Sayyidina Jibreel came and taught him, or asked him to teach him and to inform him. مَا الْمَسْئُولُ عَنْهَا بِأَعْلَمَ مِنَ السَّائِلِ. Nobody knows about the last hour. When it is, only Allah knows. So you ask, when will the last hour be? When will the last day be? The Prophet ﷺ continued with his talk. So he carried on the conversation with the Sahaba that he was addressing and speaking to. Some of those who were present, who were witnessing from far, because he's already conversating. So you can imagine a masjid like this. I'm speaking to Dubai Sub here. Another person comes and just speaks towards me on my left hand side, for example. And those people at the back are watching, so they're seeing what's happening. Okay? And they can see that someone is trying to, the Prophet ﷺ is speaking to some Sahaba, another person trying to interject, and they're witnessing. So some of the people that were present thought maybe the Prophet did not hear the guy, the Bedouin, that was asking the question. And others said, no, maybe he disliked it. He didn't like the question. He didn't like the fact that he was being disturbed like this, or that this question was being asked in this manner, or even the fact that the question was being asked in the first place, because this is not a question with an answer. So when the Prophet ﷺ concluded his speech, when he finished communicating, and by the way, one of the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ is that when he would speak to somebody, he would turn his whole body towards them. This is from the humility and the communication skill of the Prophet ﷺ. Many of us, when we feel like we're so authoritative and we speak to other people like this, or we don't even look at them. People are speaking to you, you don't even look, you don't even listen, because you feel like you're above. A'udhu billahi min dhalik. The Prophet ﷺ, when he spoke to somebody, he would turn his whole body and face toward that person and listen full attention. We have so much to learn from this. We have so much to learn from this. Because all of us are maftooneen. We are all suffering from the fitna of the devices. Even now is even a bigger problem. Before it was like you were distracted, you can't bother to listen. But now we have devices which distract us even further. So nonetheless, the Prophet ﷺ, when he finished the conversation with the people that he was speaking to, then he said, where is the one who asked me about the last day? Who is the man, or where is the man that asked me about when the Yawm al-Qiyamah is? So the man replied, I'm here. Here I am. The Prophet ﷺ then replied. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't ignore him. The Prophet ﷺ was teaching him. He was teaching him in the most beautiful way, in a gentle way, with action, with practice. So the Prophet ﷺ replied, you want to know when the last hour will be? You want to know when the judgment day will come? Exact time and date we don't know, but we know some signs. So he mentions one of these signs. He said, when the practice of honoring the trust is lost, expect the last day. When trust is not there, you can't trust anybody. Trustworthy people become untrustworthy. The truth sayer is called the liar, and the liar becomes seen as the truthful person. This is a very strong indication to media propaganda. Media propaganda. Media love to spread their propaganda and their version of the story. And even if someone is narrating themselves and saying, no, 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 we are being attacked from all sides in Gaza, we are being killed, we are being genocided, people, not all of us, some people would rather believe the media propaganda than to believe the honest person who's actually saying, look at me, my home is destroyed, my country is destroyed, we're being attacked wherever we go. So this is what tends to happen even now. So this is a lead up to Yawm al-Qiyamah. But then there's more to this, which is that if you want to know when the last day is near, then watch out for this sign. Trust will disappear. It will be very hard to trust people. So the man replied. So he asked, Ya Rasulullah, how will the trust be lost? It doesn't make sense. Like, how will the trust be lost? Can you describe to us? What do you mean? How will the trust be lost? So the Prophet ﷺ replied, when the government is entrusted to undeserving people, then wait for the last day. When government, as in leadership, Islamic leadership, when imarat, when positions of authority is given to people who don't deserve it. Today someone should send me a link of Mr. Boris Johnson, and has been questioned, how come you guys were having a party in Downing Street when we couldn't go and visit our family members in funerals? And then he tried to escape the question. He said, oh, but what do you mean? No, you were having party, you're having cake, you're having alcohol, you're having party in Downing Street, while people are not allowed to go and visit their dying relatives because of the restrictions. Then he said, I'm sorry. He's supposed to be the government. They are the ones that are making the rules. They have to practice and lead by example. So this, of course, we're talking about non-Muslim, but this is also applicable to Muslim society. When people in charge don't deserve the position. You know, we have a principle in Islamic Sharia, is that you yourself should not be seeking position of authority. Nominating yourself to become a leader is not actually originally from the Islamic culture. If you look at the Sahaba, the Khulafa Rashidun, did any of them come forward and say, make me Khalifa? Did any of them say that? Rather, all of them refused. All of them said no, they don't want to. And then the people gave their bay'ah and elected them, chose them to be leaders. So originally in Islam, we don't want to take leadership, because leadership is a big responsibility. And the one that's seeking leadership the most is often maybe seeking it for the wrong reason. For power, for fame, for money, for this, for that. So the true leaders don't actually want to be leaders. The true leaders are chosen by their people to be leaders, like the Khulafa al-Rashidun were. However, while this is the norm, That's the original. The original is that we don't want to be leaders. We don't put ourselves for leadership. But however, Islam also teaches, Islamic Sharia teaches us that if you know that everyone around you is corrupt and you can make a change, or you are the most deserving, suitable person for this position, based on wara', based on taqwa, based on a conscious calculation with Allah. And you know that this person, you know for a fact that this person, if they become leader, then they will push these policies which is against Islam. They will do this which is against the interest of the public. They will oppress, they will do dhulm, they will deceive. And you know yourself, within yourself, that you will not do such and such a thing. Because you have this muhasaba, calculation with Allah. You have people around you that are holding you to account too. Maybe shaykhs, mashayikh, ulama, scholars, murabbin. So you know that you are suitable and you are able to fulfill the duty of leadership correctly. In that situation, you are allowed to put yourself forward. But normally that's not the default. That's why choosing yourself as a leader, putting yourself as a leader, isn't necessarily a praiseworthy thing. Unless in the case of necessity. But what do we find within our society today? Everyone wants to be the leader first. Whether they can or can't. Whether they deserve or don't. Whether they have any knowledge or not. No, everyone wants to have a voice, want to be listened to, because they want to feed what? Their ego. They want to feed hubbul jah. This is called hubbul jah, the love of the ego. They want to have ujub. They're impressed with themselves. Everyone loves themselves so much, they think that they are the most suitable for this position of leadership. So the point that we are trying to learn from this is that there will be, towards the end of times, where power and authority will be entrusted to those who don't deserve it at all, who are least deserving. And I will say one more thing, inshallah, before we move on. Even today, in today's society, some of the loudest voices are some of the least educated voices. Does that make sense? Those who claim to speak for Islam, da'wah this, da'wah that, speaking for Islam, they are often some of the most uneducated people. Whereas the true scholars who actually have studied for decades and decades and authored and written and have been peer-reviewed and know what they're speaking about and are known by their peers to be knowing what they're speaking about, qualified, intelligent, diligent, amana, they have the trust. Those scholars, people don't even turn to them. Forget that, they don't even know who they are. So we are slowly reaching more and more of these times where authority is given to those who are least deserving. May Allah protect us, may Allah guide us. And if any day anyone is seen to be more deserving of any position, then they themselves should step away and allow for someone who's more deserving to be taking that position. So that, because ultimately, ahbab, respected brothers and sisters, we're not here for ourselves, we're here for the deen. We're here for al-Islam. I'm not here for self-interest, I'm here for Islam's interests. If I know someone else can serve the deen better, then I should put that person forward. I should support those people. I should be behind those people. Not always trying to lead from the front, whether you deserve it or can or cannot. May Allah guide us all. 1838 عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يصلون لكم فإن أصابوا فلكم وإن أخطأوا فلكم وعليهم. This is a general principle about sinful leaders that lead people in salah. Sinful leaders that lead people in salah. Sinful or uneducated. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet Muhammad said, your leaders will lead you in prayer. If they are conducting it properly, then they will be rewarded. But if they make mistakes, then you will earn the reward and they will be held responsible for their mistakes. Meaning when someone says, like in your mind, you are making intention to pray behind the Imam and the Imam doesn't know what they're doing, then your salah will be done in the court of Allah. Okay, but if you of course know that this is of course based on the fact that you don't know, then your salah will be done based on your knowledge, based on your intention, based on your action, but they will be held responsible for their mistakes. There's a very important hadith here, 1841. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال أحب البلاد إلى الله مساجدها وأبغض البلاد إلى الله أسواقها. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه وارضاه narrated, the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said, the most beloved of all places on the face of the earth to Allah are the masajid. The masjid are the most beloved places to Allah in the world. And the most disliked places to Allah are the marketplaces, because marketplaces are where all of the different types of wrongs come together. Cheating, deception, wrong kind of meetings, wrong kind of interactions, wrong kind of places of transactions, whether it be riba, whether it be gambling, whether it be inappropriate, illegitimate relationships. All of this stuff tends to happen where? In the marketplace. People are swearing, taking an oath by Allah when they're lying, cheating, deceiving, wailul lil mutaffifin, doing tatfif of people's property. So marketplaces are not places for you to indulge in or spend excessive time in unless you have to, unless you need to, unless you are a trader or unless you are a shopper that needs to buy something. But generally you should not be lingering in the marketplace. But today's society, this consumerist society, this capitalistic society, one of the things that it preaches and teaches is consumerism, isn't it? I'm gonna go shopping, and it's an activity. Isn't shopping an activity? I'm gonna go shopping, it's an activity. It's make a whole day out of it. But this whole concept of making a whole day out of shopping is not necessarily an Islamic principle. It's not necessarily an Islamic idea. If you need to go to the marketplace to buy your things and you go home, that's done. But the whole concept of making a whole shopping, excessive spending and buying and wasting, what you will wear, what you will not wear, what you will eat, what you will not eat, just for leisure, then this is not from the deen, this is not from Islam, this is not from the Hadith. And yet we have many Muslim sisters and brothers who, while being Muslim, will say, they will spend excessive time. And now, you might be thinking marketplace meaning like, shopping centers here and there. But the marketplace is also online now. Many of you are addicted to TikTok shop. Many of you are addicted to Amazon. Love Amazon. One swipe, it comes to your door. It's so nice. You swipe next day, Amazon Prime is there in your door. It's almost addictive. So you're buying stuff that you might not even need. You're buying stuff that you might not even want. You're buying and you're spending a lot of time browsing and browsing. But the marketplace is even more. Some are addicted to different types of marketplaces. Some are into cars, some are into clothes, some are into bags, some are into shoes. Oh my goodness me. It's for necessity. The marketplace is for necessity. You fulfill your necessity and you move on. And that's why the hadith is saying that the most beloved of places to Allah is the masajid, because it connects you to Allah. And the most disliked people's place to Allah is the marketplace. Why? Because it connects you to dunya. While the masjid, it connects you to Allah. And our purpose in life is to connect to Allah and not to become more and more immersed in the dunya. SubhanAllah, so many amazing, beautiful hadith. Inshallah, we'll share a few more short hadiths and then we'll wrap it because I do have a meeting to attend quickly before Isha Salah. 1844 عن أبي مسعود الأنصاري قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن مما أدرك الناس من كلام النبوة الأولى إذا لم تستحي فاصنع ما شئت. Sayyidina Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari narrated that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, one of the admonitions, one of the advices, teachings of the previous prophets of the early generations, which has been conveyed to the people, i.e. of this ummah, is that if you have no modesty, if you don't have no haya, then you can do whatever you like. What does that mean? Haya, feeling shy, feeling a level of haya and shame, which stops you from doing inappropriate things, is from Islam. Is from Islam. Whereas people today say, don't be shy, do whatever you like, whether it's good or bad. Be yourself, whether it's good or bad. If it is good, then be yourself. But if it's bad, then you don't. You should try to hide the faults. You should try it, but we live in an age, in an era, when you are taught that anything and everything, whatever you desire, not only should you do whatever you desire, but also you should publicize it. And about that Allah said in the Quran, أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ أَفَأَنْتَ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِ وَكِيلًا. Have you seen the one that has taken their desire as their Lord? Whatever they desire, they have to obey more than they obey Allah, more than they obey their Lord. So they are servant to what? To themselves, to their desires. Some people say, I don't want to be Muslim because I don't want to be a servant to anybody. I don't want to be a Muslim because I don't want to take commands from anyone because you feel arrogant. I'd rather be agnostic. I'd rather be atheist. But know, dear friend, that whether you obey Allah or obey something else, you are still obeying someone. You're either being submissive to your desires or being submissive to Allah. And in fact, in being submissive to Allah, you are gaining freedom. Submission to Allah is freedom. Why? Ask me why. If you submit to Allah, then Allah has given you such a teaching that allows for you to control all of your other desires, lusts and problems and challenges and fitan, so that you are not entrenched, you are not engrossed into them, you are not trapped by them. So when you commit yourself to Allah and commit to Allah in submission and in servitude, then that's actually the utmost freedom. Connecting your soul to its creator is the greatest form of freedom. And that freedom then allows you to elevate and go beyond the shahawat and the shubuhat of this dunya, which hold you down and pull you down until you become lowly, until you become more and more sinful. Whereas submission to Allah takes you upwards and makes you elevated in this life and the next. So therefore, beloved brothers and sisters, the main shahid here in this hadith is that Hayaa, having shame, is important. Okay? Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and from the characteristic that he taught was that even Hayaa should be with men and with women. Hayaa should be with men and with women. Okay? You should feel a level of shyness, shame for doing wrong, for doing things which are inappropriate. Not just wrong, inappropriate. Now, normally I would say culturally inappropriate. But unfortunately, we live in a culture which is not Islamic. So therefore, everything is appropriate. When I say culture inappropriate, we mean Islamic culture. In an Islamic culture, many things are inappropriate. For example, I'll give you a small example. In an Islamic culture, it teaches you that you are not allowed to sit in front of elders with your legs facing towards them. Who has this in their culture? Bangladeshi have this culture that if you are sitting in front of your elders, you shouldn't stretch your legs like that. I'm not pointing at anyone. It's fine. I'm just generally saying that this is towards elders. You should not extend your feet like towards them. You should not. When it comes to elders, I was in Egypt for a long time. In Egypt, if you sit like this, sorry, I'm going to show this. You know when you sit on a chair, you sit like this, right? But if you sit with two legs on top of each other, in front of elders, in front of mashayikh, in front of those who are senior, considered to be disrespectful. Now, you might be thinking, what's this? Is this Islamic? Has that anything to do with Islam? The truth is, and the answer is, because this is a form of respect and honor, and this is cultural respect, this shows respect to elders, then this is accepted. Because the Prophet ﷺ has also taught us that man lam yarham saghirana wa lam yuwaqqir kabirana falaysa minna. Those who do not honor and respect our elders and be kind and generous and merciful towards our youngsters, then they're not from among us. So Islamic culture is so beautiful. It teaches you so many amazing things like Hayaa, like feeling shy to a certain extent, both for men and women. Shame is a part of Iman. Al-Haya'u shu'batun min al-Iman. Shame and feeling shy to do wrong, to do culturally inappropriate, Islamically inappropriate things, feeling shy to do that. This is a part of Iman. Because if your Hayaa and your shyness and your shame of doing wrong things goes away, then guess what? You can do anything. You can walk naked on the streets. You can do haram, fawahish openly on the streets. You will not care. You will not care if you are held accountable by dunya or the akhirah. Because you've lost all shame, all accountability, all shyness. So Hayaa is important, and that's why we should teach Hayaa to our children in our households, how to be respectful, how to have adab. Even more important than learning any other form of Islamic knowledge, the first teaching we should be teaching our kids at home is adab, akhlaq, characteristics, how to have Hayaa, how to have adab with Allah. What is the honor and a way of respecting Allah, how to have adab with the Rasul, how to have adab with the parents, how to have adab with elders and siblings and those around. Today, if you tell someone that your kid is being rude, be like, what's your problem? Let him be rude. He's my heart, he's my this. And they get offended, not realizing that they are not helping their children in this way, rather they are harming them. Isn't it? We find this. Children are speaking rudely towards their grandparents, and the parents sitting there like melons. And they get offended if they're reprimanded. This is not loving. This is called damaging. Okay? So in our houses we should teach Hayaa, we should teach modesty, we should teach adab, akhlaq, how to have character and adab towards Allah, how to have Hayaa with Allah even. If you are someone who has shame and shyness with Allah, then you will be too shy to commit sins, because you know Allah is watching you wherever you go. Okay? And we should be fearful and conscious of Allah, the fact that Allah is watching us wherever we go. Allah, ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير وما تدري نفس وما تسقط من ورقة إلا يعلمها. May Allah give us all tawfiq and understanding and balanced understanding of the deen. Allahumma ameen. We'll wrap it up here for today, inshallah. And tomorrow there is no tartil classes, because we're taking a break until November the 15th, inshallah. But these lessons will be carrying on. And Saturday we have a very special story time again. So the 1 month is already gone. This Saturday, last was 13th of September. And now 12th of October will be our story time. This time it will be the story of Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam. Family event once again. Children, men, women, everybody welcome. Quiz competition, prizes, goodie bags, and the whole lot, inshallah, will be there. Inshallah, hope to see you there. Subhanakallahumma ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.